What's up, Hoopers? In some breaking news, they're talking about an in-season tournament coming as soon as the 2023-2024 season. What does this mean for the NBA? It wasn't too long ago that we saw our boy, King James. He went up on stage when the play-in tournament for the playoffs 2 years ago was started, him saying,
whatever that thing is, whoever came up with that need to be fired.
Look, I see this midseason tournament definitely being a young man's game. It's going to accelerate injuries because it's either going to be one of two things. Either the players are not going to take it serious and they're going to rest, or they play really freaking hard and it could cause more injuries. But there's so many top NBA players. They're talking about already the summer league games that they play and increasing that and how it's brutal on their bodies. Now having an in-season tournament. You've got owners like Mark Cuban saying, we're going to rest our players. But Adam Silver is coming down. He wants this tournament. It is massive revenue for the NBA. We're going to break it down exactly what this midseason tournament looks like, the players that are for it, the players that are against it, all of the money, all of the incentives that they get. And then we're going to talk from a Hooper's perspective exactly what these players will be thinking. I am your NBA white guy. I talk all things NBA hoops from a Hooper's perspective. And if you love that type of content, then make sure you tap that subscribe button and you click the bell so you never miss a thing. So the talks of this in-season tournament, what it really means is that they're really going to follow soccer. Now, soccer has this in-season tournament. It's a big thing. It's a money-generating outcome that people absolutely love watching. Mid-season tournament for the NBA will be big. Absolutely. The play-in games for the playoffs has been a massive success. That's the one thing I love about Adam Silver. He's willing to try new things. Like, it's not just 82 games every year. Let's keep trying new things each and every year to get more and more fans. MLB, you're way behind the times. But this in-season tournament, I can see a few different scenarios happening, especially with your stars. But we've got to break down everything. What are the schedules? How many games? When are they? Who's in? Who's out? What's the money? What's the purse? You have to understand how much these players make just by making the playoffs and making the first round, the second round, the conference finals, and the finals. How much they make in totality. And they're talking about 4xing the amount of money for the mid-season tournament. So you're going to make 4 times more money for this tournament than you would the playoffs. So it's a crazy story, and it could happen as early as 23-24 season. That's next year, y'all. But there is a collective bargaining agreement with the Players Association that could end at the end of this season. So this whole thing's going to start getting voted on, and it's going to be talked about immediately, which sounds like it already is, and they already have some plans in place. So let's really dissect this mid-season tournament, and let's talk about the pros and cons of it. Now, if you watch this video clip really quickly, you're going to see Mark Cuban was asked about this midseason tournament, and he blatantly stated, I will rest my players. My players are not going to be playing on it.
It's just, I can see the Mavs just not participating at all, or resting our best players.
Now, if you actually watch other parts of this video, you'll see, hey, right now there's no incentive for these players to do it, and they're just going to get injured, and we only want that Larry O'Brien. That's the only thing that these NBA players want. Okay, they want to win the Larry O'Brien. Now, there is a lot of money that can be made by extending your season going into the playoffs, but we want championships. That's what he's saying. That's what a lot of the NBA players are saying. But there is a big incentive now that Adam Silver's talking about by doing this midseason tournament. But the one thing that Mark Cuban said that is very interesting and I think would be devastating to the league is having 2 different seasons, 2 41-game seasons with Chip. And he said if you do that, then we're talking if I get another one of these trophies. Mark Cuban is very vocal. He is in the ears of not only all the other owners, but Adam Silver constantly. He is the most active owner by far, and I don't think it's close. Now, he proposes, hey, you do a 41-game season, then there's a mid-season tournament, and the winner of that gets a trophy. Now we're talking. Do you think the NBA would do that? You got to comment down below. I think it's a massive mistake. That tarnishes everything. From a LeBron James fan, from just an NBA fan, that Larry O'Brien trophy really defines the careers of these athletes, which is unfortunate. You've got guys like Robert Horry, who's got, 6-7 chips. You've got guys like Russell. Hey, pour out some liquor for a guy, he just died. But Mr. Bill Russell, we know, has 11 chips, but it really boils down to what? those 6 championships that Jordan got. It's 1 more than Kobe, it's 1 more than Magic, and it's 2 more than LeBron. And if we start doing these midseason things, the whole GOAT talk is out the window. Plus, yes, it is good for these players. They would have more opportunities to go and get more championships, but at the same time, it just really ruins things. I'd rather, to be honest, have them shorten the season down, get into that maybe 65 to 75 game range and have, the playoffs. But you have to realize, like when MJ and those dudes are playing, there was a lot of 5-game series. LeBron, they're all 7-game series. So there's a lot of miles going into the postseason, and they get paid for it, but it is minuscule compared to what they're talking about for this actual midseason tournament. Now, another thing that was talked about from Mark Cuban, because he's in these talks, so he's not just spitballing stuff. This is stuff that's probably been brought up. He said, what if we extended the draft to 4 rounds and the winner gets an extra first-round draft pick? Now, you and I, our favorite teams, if we're watching this tournament and they get that, we're like, heck yeah, right? An unprotected first-round draft pick. Now, going an extra couple rounds, I don't know what that looks like for the NBA players now. With 15-man rosters, and now you're doing 2 extra rounds. That's a lot of extra players that I just don't think. I mean, they get to go to the G League, and if they can impress, hey, look at your boy Caruso. He went down there. Look at your boy Gary Payton, the 2nd, 3rd, whatever he is. He went down there and painted, and he got himself contracts. So I don't think extending it 2 more rounds would do anything except for just kind of muddy the waters with a bunch of players that just can't really make the NBA, and they can go down to the G League and make it. But that extra first-round pick is interesting from an owner standpoint. But what kind of player is sitting there going, why would I work my tail off to get the team an extra first-round draft pick so that you can wrap it and me and trade me? That's the whole thing about it. So I get Mark Cuban immediately was probably like, yeah, give me some draft picks. But that's not what the players are going to sign off for. Again, at the end of 2023, the Players Association and the collective bargaining can opt out. Now, it's supposed to go all the way through 2024, but the laws show they can opt out at the end of this year and renegotiate. So that this whole mid-game tournament, mid-season, man, I am murdering this thing. Mid-season tournament is going to be the talk of the town. They are going to want big dollars for it. And I'm here to tell you right now, you got Chris Paul and the leader of that Players Association and LeBron. These dudes are like, no, it ain't a draft pick. It's that money, homie, or it's some kind of accolade that they can, accrue. But right now, especially with LeBron, Chris Paul, some of these dudes at the end of their career, it's going to be monetary. I can tell you that right now. So let's look at this schedule real quick. What does it actually mean for the NBA? And when would it be? This was actually Shams Charania. He does a lot of reported. This is a guy who, obviously, if you follow any basketball, his stuff is legit. But here's the current framework of the NBA season tournament as the 2023 source, okay? So cup games through November, right? So this is right in the heart of the season. 8 teams advance to single elimination final in December. So the other 202 continue to play regular season games. All games part of normal 82-game schedule. 1 extra for the 2 final teams. So whoever's playing in the finals gets an extra game. I am just like, how does this work with the league standings? Like, if you have a team that goes through and they play an extra game but they win, and there's conference standings for home court advantage versus not, it just muddies the water. I would love for you guys to comment down below how this works, and if you're soccer fans, how well do you think that midseason tournament in soccer does for its sport in generality? And I think obviously if you add these things to the NBA, it's going to be a weird season to start, the first one, and it'll be like, let's see how it goes. But I'm here to tell you right now, the ratings are going to be through the roof, and that's what the NBA is looking for. Adam Silver wants to generate not only more income in dollars, but eyeballs. And anytime you can put a tournament together, that means the betting and the gambling goes through the roof, and that means more people are brought in, and a lot of people are going to watch this tournament. There's nobody in the world who really watches college basketball except for actual hoopers. And then you get the biggest jump of audience. In fact, last year alone, the March Madness created over $1.2 billion in revenue. It's insane. It gets better numbers than most football games do. That is a lot of eyeballs, and the NBA is looking at that saying, yo, homies, we got to get a piece of this somehow, some way. Now, the play-in tournament for the playoffs, huge success. In the very first year that it's there, what happens? LeBron versus Steph. LeBron hits like a 40-footer game winner. Are you kidding me? LeBron just talked about how whoever did this should be fired, and then he goes and hits the game winner to go into the playoffs, and they were beating the teeth out of the Suns, too, for that whole first few games, and then AD got hurt, and then the Suns go to the finals. So there's a chance the Lakers go all the way to the finals. from a play-in team. So it was a massive success. It's a lot of fun to watch. Expanding to a mid-season tournament, I already see the success of it, but you got to think about these players. What are they going to think about it? Because now, if you're incentivized to do this, you're going to be playing your freaking heart out, and that's going to lead to a lot more injuries and strains. So are they going to have some kind of break? Obviously, there's all-star break, but that doesn't give everybody a break too. So, I got to think about just injuries and the longevity, especially when you think of older teams like the Lakers, with stars like that. Got to keep them healthy. Before I get to the money, the most important thing you have to realize, these dudes are basketball players. And I know they're all about that money and it's a business, but at the end of the day, if you lace them up, you love the sport. Just like Kevin Durant. They always say Kevin Durant just loves the hoop, loves the play. They all do. They understand it's a business. They're out there to make as much money as possible. But when that ball goes up in the air and that whistle blows, they want to kill the other team. They want to rip their heads off. They're competitors. So they will look at this in mid-season tournament. They're going to have it circled on the schedule. They're going to be thinking about it, and they're going to be like, I don't know if I'm going to give it my all. I wonder how that's going to go. But as soon as the ball goes in the air, they're going to want to win. So it's going to have that elevated, that playoff feel into it. And the playoffs, that's why the NBA playoffs are so amazing, because these dudes just got done playing 82 games, which seems like they coast nowadays. And then as soon as the playoffs hit, it's some real basketball. And guess what else happens? The refs swallow the whistle, which I love. Let's let these dudes play, see who can be the toughest out there, right? This is why the bigger players usually prevail, and this is why smaller point guards never make it through the playoffs very well. Iverson struggled with this a lot. The only guy who really made a really deep run you remember is Isaiah Thomas, but he busted his ankle up. But you got to think, younger guys as of lately, Donovan Mitchell in there. Kyrie was always getting beat up in the playoffs. These smaller dudes get banged up. The refs swallow the whistle. It's a lot more of a physical game, and that makes it more difficult. So if you do this in the middle of the season, and then you still got 41 games left, I'm telling you, this could be something that we see a massive increase of injuries. So Silver's going to have to do a great job of eliminating back-to-backs. In fact, if they did this thing, I would shorten the season to like 60-something games, right? And then get to those playoffs, which is what everybody wants. But I thought this was fascinating. When it comes to money, I had no idea they made this little in the playoffs. So if you look at the playoffs, right? If you make it, the conference quarterfinals, you get $347,000, okay? Make the second round, $761, make the conference 1.4, and so on, right? If you win the NBA Finals, $4.124 million. But the important factor is you're not playing by yourself. Even though there's no I in team, there's a me in that mother trucker, as our boy Kobe Bean Bryant was said. There's 15 dudes on the team. This is not what each player gets. That is split between the team of 15 players. Now, you can actually, when I was reading I wanted to know the exact truth of what players make in the playoffs so that I could judge what they make in this midseason tournament. And that is really what comes back. Because if you divide these by 15 players, you're looking at $23,169 each. And there's actual ways that you can vote some of that money to be given out to trainers and other coaches and injured players who didn't get to play. So really, you're not making but about $20,000 to go in the playoffs. So what does that tell you? The players want to win the Larry O'Brien, and that is it. Now, obviously, they're incentivized and they're monetized, and you go through this. The most you can make by winning the NBA Finals is $275,000. Nothing to shake at, right? But it's the trophy. You can go with that trophy the rest of your life. The $275, they're going to go buy a car with later on, and it's all gone, right? So that trophy, you can never take it away. You talk to any hooper, it's winning a championship, whether it's in state, in high school, winning a college championship, whatever. You want that championship, even if you made the playoff runs, these bubble, it's amazing. That's what you remember, right? Not any of the incentives. As of right now, the NBA players actually, they get to earn anywhere from 49 to 51% of the revenue. So when you talk about like March Madness per se making $1.2 billion, and a midseason tournament could start generating maybe $500 million or maybe $1 billion. We don't know. This is a huge now chunk of money that if 50% of that money is going to the NBA players, that they can get. The one big talk that's out there from Adam Silver and Shams Charania, and I looked at a lot of top reporters, Woj reported it, they're thinking upwards of $1 million per player for the winning of this midseason tournament. So That, when you look at making the playoffs and you make $23,000 for just making the first round, now you get $1 million for winning this sucker. There's going to be some dudes out there fighting. And when the Lakers got Pat Bev, he's going to be out there tearing people down. So, again, it's going to have this elevated feel. Now, again, from a hooper's perspective, that whistle's going to blow. I don't care if it's midseason tournament, midseason game, and especially, here's the big thing that I haven't talked about much in these games. When you have vet players out there, the Giannis's, the KD's, the Kyrie's, the LeBrons, these big name players, you're getting the other team's 150% every single night. Have you ever gone to games? You can go, like I'm in Houston now, and you go to any Houston game, you can sit wherever you want. But when LeBron comes and LA comes, there ain't a seat in the house. And what do you think those Houston players are doing? They are playing so hard like it is Game 7 of the finals, because they've watched this man play for 20 seasons, and all they want to do is be able to say, hey, I played LeBron and beat him. But I've been in the locker rooms before where you have this star-studded player. We had NBA scouts all over the arena, dude. You want to know how much effort we gave? Literally, I would have died on that floor because you just want to be noticed, right? And that's the feeling when you play against a LeBron. So when you're in these midseason tournaments and you're playing against LeBron and everything's elevated, you're going to see this really high intensity. That's amazing for the audience. That's amazing for the commish. That's amazing for the owners. But the players got to get paid. And so if it's just the championship players that make $1 million, you're going to have guys really quickly bow out, I think. And so maybe the energy won't be there. I don't know. That's going to be the one thing. But also, go tell a basketball player not to play hard, especially now if the other team's going at your neck, going at your throat. It pisses you off, and you're like, dude, what? And you want to go harder too. And then it's just this basketball mind. There's no money, there's no championship, there's no nothing. It's just, I want you, and I want to beat you, right? And that is going to increase this. So the only thing that I'm saying is you need to vote in the comments. Are you for the midseason tournament, or are you against it? I think as a fan, it's going to be fantastic. But the biggest thing about the NBA is the championship. We've seen it. Okay, if you get the Warriors in there, you get LeBrons, you get these big name people, the ratings are just up. So if we have, these other teams that didn't make the midseason tournament and they're not playing as hard and they're healthier going into the end of the season, you're going to have some major gripes. So I am fascinated to see how they're going to negotiate this thing if it happens. And I'm here to tell you, it's most likely going to happen. And now you need to go up here and watch this video. I ranked the top 10 scariest players for the 2022-2023 season that are coming off of injury. Some of them you forgot about, and they are cold players. I can't wait for this season. Everybody's healthy. Go watch that video. And until the next one, homies, we'll catch you later.